This is Pablo del Villar. Hey, everyone, and welcome back. It's the Matt Talks Wine and Stuff with Interesting People podcast. This is another part of our Rueda edition as we are celebrating the northern Spanish grape of Verdejo and all the joy it brings to us. Joining me now, Pablo del Villar, the owner and CEO of Bodega Hermanas del Villar. Pablo, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast.
Thank you to you, Matthew. It's a real pleasure for me.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure. I've tried your wines, the Oro de Castilla. I've tried both your 2016 Los Hornos and your 2019 Verdejo. I'll start here. I was wondering if you could tell people a little bit about the different styles of Verdejo that your bodega makes.
We have a little bit different approach to Verdejo grapes than other people that here in the area, because our motto on the winery is very easy to say, but a little bit difficult to carry on. That is extraction with no modification. That's easy to say, but when you are on the winemaking process, this is a little bit difficult. And the basics of this idea is that we have a singular grape, that is Verdejo, that not only, but mainly grows in Rueda. We have very, very good soils for this variety. Then we try to avoid any kind of modification about the style and the character of the variety. It's a variety that is, Verdejo is a relative of Sauvignon Blanc. They are cousins. Both of them, there are thiolic varieties. But keep in mind something that is very important. Rueda is between 750 and 800 meters over the sea level. This is the reason because in a southern latitude, like Rueda, we are in the 40 parallel at the same highness than New York, for example. We are able to make world-class white wines with enough acidity, enough complexity, and with ability to be kept on the bottle for more time than we usually expect. Then the reason of the altitude together with the climate, we have contrast of temperature. For example, today, now, there are outside the winery, there are 32 degrees, very, very hot. It's a very warm day. This night, the minimum recorded on the thermometer of the winery was 5.
Wow.
5 to 30. 25 degrees of contrast between day and night. And this is because our altitude. And this is the reason because we are able to have very good quality grapes to start making the wine.
And when you say extraction without modification, that's basically you're trying to get the full essence of the grape into the glass, but without altering it in the winery. Would that be correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Then first, there are mainly 2 steps, very important one. First is harvest time, picking. We only pick the grapes during the night because the reason I explained before, because the temperature is ever lower in the night. If we are working with a wide variety, temperature and sunlight, they are the enemies of the complexity and the flavor on the juice. Then, so cool and so quickly we transport the grapes from the vine to the winery, as lowest time we have, better quality of flavors we have. Or, in other way, we don't throw out the character of the grape. Then we try to keep this character. When we have the grapes on the winery, we made a process of enzymatic extraction of the flavors that there are on the skin of the grape. And after this soft extraction, it's only a question of to put the crushed grapes into a vat and to leave for 8 hours, 9 hours, it depends, at low temperature. We press the grapes in a very gentle, with a very gentle system to avoid the extract of fusel oils from the seeds. And in this way, we have a juice, an unoxidated and very, very aromatic juice. From this juice, we can start to make the wine. And to avoid interference in this process, We are the only winery in Rueda that has its own, I don't remember the word in English,
laboratory?
Its own yeast.
Your own yeast.
Our own yeast strain.
Yeah.
Ale from the wild yeast on the vineyards. This is a long work of 5 years with Salamanca University. We have the patent of this yeast, and the idea for choosing this concrete yeast was the yeast that in our criteria has less modification of the character of the grapes. Commercial yeast are great. There are very, very good ones. But all the commercial yeast has some modification of the character. There are a good idea. It works very well. But we try to go a step ahead and avoid modification to keep the character and to give to the customer in the glass that we can taste on the grape.
So you guys created over years your own yeast.
No, we don't create it. This was a God creation.
Yes,
we take from the nature.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. No. Fair.
Yeah.
Good. No. That is a good correction. Can you tell the listeners what's the difference and what can they expect? Because the two wines that we are having in Ontario, the 2016 Los Hornos and the 2019 Verdejo. I was wondering just a little bit of a difference in the two, and I'm jealous because right now Pablo's holding both those bottles. It's 10:45 in the morning. It's too early for me to drink them. But I was wondering if you could tell people a little bit about the wines.
Yeah, here you see for sure the bottles are different.
Yep.
That are outside. We are going to start with Oro de Castilla Verdejo. This is 19 because we are totally out of stock of 9. This is 20 because we are out of stock of 19 on the winery, and we are now
Congratulations.
with 20.
Congratulations.
What's Oro de Castilla? Oro de Castilla is the pure expression of the varietal. It's a wine that is very fresh. It has a strong nose, but not too much because I'm too worried about. Then we are looking more intensity, more elegance, more complexity. We are looking more elegance and complexity over intensity. For sure, a white wine must to be very intense in the nose. But we are in a step lower than other wines. We give more relevance to complexity and elegance than for intensity. If you let me to take a glass of wine, I'm better speaking with some wine.
Do it.
Yeah, just a moment, please.
As
fresh because outside today is very, very hot.
Look at that. Glass myself.
Yeah, the nose is, if you close your eyes, is like you are outside a day of spring in a green lawn with flowers and with apricot close to us. Then it's a blend of fresh grass, flowers, white flowers, and fruit at the end. Fruit like apricot, banana, a little bit of pineapple, citrus. All these flavors, some people ask why the wine, you can find notes of guava or banana or pineapple in the wine. And wine is made from grapes, not for pineapple or banana. Mm-hmm. It's because the aromatic compounds of the majority of the fruits, there are common aromatic compounds. And grapes, some varieties of grapes, has a lot of these compounds together. Then our role in the winery is saying that you reveal a photography like 10 years ago or so on. We try to show these aromatic compounds all together with equilibria into the wine. Very fresh. Today is a very hot day. And this is very fresh. We found in the mouth exactly the same than in the nose. Wines must to be coherent. And when you are finding something in the nose, it must be present in the mouth. In the mouth, we find the fresh acidity that keeps the wine alive, and a mix of these fruits that I spelled before, a little bit of citrus, of grass, of green grass, aniseed, and at the end, a salty character, a bit of salt. This comes from the kind of soil we have, that is a little bit salty and keep us not only the salty character, sometimes it's called it mineral, and acidity together.
So that is your 2020. I imagine younger vines, all stainless steel. Is there any other aging that goes into that? Only stainless steel. Okay. And then the second wine, the Los Hornos, is that 2016, or is it a different vintage? The 2016, the Los Hornos.
Yeah, this one is 17. It's saying
17.
It's out of stock on the winery. Yeah, mm-hmm. And this is 17. I personally prefer 16 because this wine needs more time in the bottle. At here, right. Let me take a glass, please.
Yeah, take a moment. No,
sorry.
Oh, please, no worries about it at all. And again, these wines are available in Ontario, and if you need to find about these wines, Glow Communications, Jessica Glover, we got people that can help get the wines to you.
Perfect. Well, this is Finca Los Hornos 17. Finca Los Hornos means Los Hornos plot. Horno means oven, the English word. And it's because there was, I don't know where, 300 years ago, there was a brick oven in this plot. Then this wine comes from a single plot. We have, in total, our estate covers 150 hectares of vines. And Finca Los Hornos is a plot of 6 hectares. And it's the only plot in all the Rueda Dio that has the soil acid. This is a little bit abnormal in our area. Our soils are basic, and this one, we don't know really why, is acid. Then this was, initially, it was a problem because there was a vine that has a lot of problems of growing, of flowering, very low production, and so on. And nobody knows what happens because nobody thinks that the soil was acid because it's so strange that nobody thinks about. Then when we released that the soil was acid, we changed totally the vine growing process on the soil, and we have Finca Los Hornos. The character is a little bit different. It's a wine that is less aromatic than the World Verdejo, more complex. The winemaking process is a little bit different because at here there are 60 or 70%, it depends on the harvest, of big foudres of 1,000 liters, big wooden foudres of French oak, and another 20 or 30% of stainless steel wine. And we blend together in our taste. It's a question of taste. The juice ferment directly in the vats. They are keep it between 8 to 10 months. It depends on the harvest too. On the vats, and after this, they are blended with the stainless steel and put into the bottle after clarification and so on. Then there are, for one side, we have the ripe flavors of fruit, dry fruit like dry apricot, a little bit of apple, straw, white straw. And in the second layer, we find a little bit of the wooden notes, not too much because I don't like the over oaky wines. But the most characteristic of this wine is that there are at the end in flavor of peat or vegetal carbon or ink. There are it's difficult to define, but it's a flavor that gives, and all the flavors there are together. It's a very pleasant balance between the fruit, the flowers, dry flowers too, and the peat and the dark flavors at the end.
I was saying in other interviews, I think my favorite my favorite version of Verdejo is 5 years age, old vine, some, on its lees, probably some concrete. If it's oak, it's super old oak. It's nothing new. I think I like the young, refreshing stuff, but I love the old vine lees, 5 years of age on it. I find there's a complexity and a body that can compete with high-end village level Burgundy.
I make you I don't remember the word in English, a bet.
Okay.
We have on the winery and in our private collection assortment of wines since 2009 till 2020.
Ooh.
And we made only for press usually. The last one was released in the Vino magazine 2 months ago. We made vertical tasting of white wines from Rueda. This is something is not normal. But if you are interested, I can send you some samples to taste all together. It's something very funny.
Yeah, I would love it. I remember trying last time when I was there back in 2019, and the older ones, this honeyed almond, but still all that acid, but this full, it was full bodied. You could drink it with most meats, and it tasted like I would put the power level in the same as a good Montrachet. Like they could compete with one another. Aged Rueda is rare, but it's always a treat, and it's usually not that expensive when you consider the time and energy that goes into it.
I totally agree with you. And it's a question of your own evolution. When you are starting into the wine, your first approach, there are sweet wines. After you are looking for fresh, fruity, easy to drink white and rosés, a bit of young reds. And where you are changing, or when you are older, like myself, I prefer the older whites and younger reds.
Yeah,
it's a question of your taste.
It is so true. You get older and you like your white wines to be a little bit darker in hue and your red wines to be lighter in color.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. All right, Pablo, I want to talk a little bit about you and how you got started. I believe it was the mid to late, I think 97 when you joined the family business. I'd be curious, what were the early years like for you and at Hermanos del Villar?
A little bit of history about.
Yes.
My grandfather comes to Rueda 80 years ago or 70 years ago. I was not present, I don't know. And he bought a small estate up here in Rueda to grow, because we are farmers, we are a family of farmers, to grow barley, wheat, sugar beet, and so on. From the small estate of my grandfather, my father buys more plots, more land, more land, and start to establish vines in 1988. Sorry, he started planting the first vines, but with something very clever. He was looking the best soil for the vines, because our area is very big. Then the areas with the good soil, there are not unlimited. There are not big areas with good soil. Then my father chose the better areas to establish the vines, both Verdejo and Sauvignon Blanc. But there are different areas. When I finished university, my father just started with the winery, and an old winery of 300 years old that he buys to the former proprietor. And when I finished my studies, I went to go in a petrol company. I stayed for 2 years working with gasoline and kerosene and so on. And I was worried about. And come back home and start to working on the winery. I think that in the 99 or 98, I'm not sure. and starting to work on the winery until today. And this year we are going to inaugurate, maybe next month, a new winery that is outside Rueda, because the old one, 300 years old, very nice, very fancy, a lot of old bricks and so on, was very nice, but was too small for us. Then we built, start last year and finished this year, a new winery outside Rueda. It's an investment of $4.5 million of dollars, and it's a totally new winery, bigger than the previous one. And the most important is a winery that is thinking for not to work. Mm-hmm. The people that is on the winery nowadays they only see the machines working. All the wineries focus it into to keep the character of the wine, very controlled temperature, absolutely clean. It's like a quirófano, like a surgery area, and with controlled temperature, and is sustainable. We all the energy comes from solar solar photovoltaic panels, some windmill, an electric windmill, and biomass to have the hot. Then we are out of the grid of the electric power, and we have total sustainability. Excuse me, but my English is very
no, it's really good. No, that was good. Yeah, the sustainability of it with the wind and the solar panels. That's fantastic. How much? Yeah. How much? I read your background was, and you kind of mentioned it there with petrol, but your background in chemical engineering. Yeah, did that play any influence, or does it play any influence today when it comes to decisions with winemaking?
Yes, for sure, because you must never forget that wine is biochemistry. Then, if you don't know about chemistry, it's impossible to know about winemaking. Then we try to know as much as possible about the natural process of the chemical reactions of the wine. We made a lot of investment on the winery. Every year we made a lot of investment. And finally, the conclusion of this investment is, generally speaking, is that it's better to have physical influence into the wine better than chemical influence. For example, lower temperature or higher temperature, higher or lower pressure, higher or lower electrical potential on the wines has more influence, more importance, and some reactions that they are more easy to keep into the time than if you add something. Then we try to direct the fermentation and the aging process of the wine in the direction we are looking for, avoiding to add something. Because not because adding something was bad, it's because we are looking for stability with the time. Then everything you add with the time will be rejected. But if you push, it's a little bit, it's easy to say, but a little bit difficult to carry on.
Yeah.
If you push the wine process in a direction with changing temperature, pressure, or electrical potential, the final result will be better.
Yeah, and it's all about that delicate balance. Actually, I'm curious. The Rioja wine region, it's very different, isn't it, than some of the other big areas like Rioja, France, with Bordeaux and Burgundy, where those areas have centuries of history to them. You guys are still not new to Canada. I mean, because we're young as well. But in comparison to other European wine regions, you guys are still fairly young.
I totally agree with you, and agree and disagree, because vines was present in Rueda, more or less. I don't remember exactly because I don't stay here. 10 centuries ago, Verdejo grapes there was present in the area 10 centuries ago. And in the middle, at the end of the Middle Age, when Columbus went to America in the early 16th century, the surface of vines in this area was more than multiplied by 4 the actual quantity of vines in the area. But for one side with the phylloxera and another side with the highest prices of wheat, barley, and so on, the vines was throwing out. And all the Rueda area was an area mainly for traditional agricultural, like barley, wheat, sugar beet, and so on.
Yeah.
And this changed at late 70s, early 80s, when some people start to replant vines in this area. And the style of the wine changed from the old sherry-like style wines, very nice, but very, very difficult to sell, to the most young, more easy to drink, more aromatic wines. Then the area and the customers changed on the same time. And this is one of the most important key factors in Rueda. We are making a good wine, and the most important, the wine that the market is looking for. Then there are a convergence between our winemaking style and the market, the consumption style. Then we are together, and this is the key of the success of Rueda. In the last 10 years, we multiply by 4 the number of bottles of Rueda sell it in the market. And we are not in the top. We are growing.
Last question for you. And again, I appreciate you joining. So that's the growth in the last 10 years. And you guys have been hailed as one of the models for Verdejo. Where do you see yourself and your entire region 10 years from now?
10 years from now, my idea is to go to the beach with blonde women and to lay down. That's my idea, but it's a little bit difficult to to finish. I don't know, but we have. I'm positive about the future of Rueda for 3 reasons. First is professionality. Both wine growers and winemakers, both of them, they are professional people. They work not only on the wine or on the vines, they are ever thinking on the company future. Then we have a solid basis to confront all the change there will be on the future. For example, the absolute disaster of this year with the COVID and the pandemic. There was no wineries in Rueda that are low, went to bankruptcy. At here, everybody is hurted, is legal, but nobody goes to bankruptcy because the companies has a solid basis and has that we say in Spain, sentido común, common sense. Same with viticultures. Second idea is that Verdejo grape is very versatile. Now we are enjoying and we are selling our fresh, fruity, easy to drink white wines. Maybe in the future, I don't know where, the palate of the customers change. I don't know, maybe to more complex, more mature, more structured whites, or to lighter ones. And we are able to make with the same variety and staying linked to our area. That is very important. And third one is that market, the customers, not only in Spain, worldwide. I have the idea that they are demanding every day more the kind of wine we are making. Then we are all together. That's my idea. Maybe I'm on a mistake, but I'm confident with the future.
Oh no, I agree with you. The versatility of that grape satisfies a wide range, and it's a good different set of price points. I wanted to say, Pablo, thank you so much for being on the show. Everyone out there, the Oro de Castilla, whether it's the 2017 Los Hornos or the latest 2020 Verdejo, these are excellent wines. I've had them many times, and I've bought a lot of yours and a lot of your neighbors' wines over the years. It's a great alternative. It's a great alternative to Pinot Grigio. It's a much cheaper and as satisfying version as you'll find in a lot of Burgundy. And Pablo, I really appreciate you being a part of the show. Hey, it's World Verdejo Day, so I'm so glad you were able to join the show today.
Thank you very much. And the most important, enjoy the wine in good company.
Absolutely. Enjoy the wine in good company. Of course. Thank you so much, Pablo.
Thank you very much. Bye.